Virtual STEM Club, Wiggle and Giggle. I'm Sandy, and today we are going to take some components and make a little mini robot type of structure that's going to color on paper. So you should have already picked up the Take and Make bag that contains everything you need for this project. Let's get started. In your Take and Make bag, you're going to find a roll of duct tape, 3 markers, a craft stick, a little motor, 2 batteries, a clothespin, a battery holder, and a cup. Also, some paper for drawing for the project. Let's give her a try. So the first thing we want to do is we want to take our cup and our markers. And these are double-ended markers, so you can decide which end you want your Wigglebot to draw on the paper with. I'm going to choose the fine tip end. This is the fine tip, and then this one is called a brush tip. And I'm going to use the fine tip. And what we're going to do is we're going to tape this onto our cup, sort of in a pattern like this. We want to space them as evenly as possible. And you can decide how long you want your little legs of your Wigglebot to be. You could do it this long if you choose, or this long, strictly up to you. I would recommend though that you make sure that your marker, when you're taping it, doesn't go above the top of the cup, because that's going to interfere with our placement of our battery pack and our motor. So we'll just take our tape and we'll tear a piece off. If you have trouble with that, you can have an older sibling or adult. It tears pretty easy. Or if you so choose, if you struggle with it, you can get a pair of scissors and cut the tape. So I'm just gonna find a spot and I'm going to try to put them as close to the same place on the cup. And I'm going to choose where it says fine on the marker and put that right on the edge of the cup like so. And I'm going to tape it in a couple of places just to hold it steady when we're doing our experiment. So I'll take another piece of tape. Sure it's as straight as can be, and then just tape it down, and then I'll do the same thing with the other 2 markers. And you want to space them as evenly as possible around the cup. And again, I'm using the fine as my point to line it up, and trying to find an even spacing for my markers. To our third one. That one says brush, so I'll make sure I have all the same ends. Line it up as close. Tape it down. And now you should be able to stand your cup up, leaning on your markers. And that's going to be our base. And the next step will be to take your motor and your battery pack And you'll see on the ends of the wires that there's the coating, and then there's some little wires exposed on the end. And what you want to do is take your motor, and you'll have the this spinning part on this side, and then there's going to be some little copper colored ends here, and you're going to take your wire and slide it under, and then just, for me it worked easier to slide it under, and if you have to kind of bend it up a little bit and wrap it around so it makes contact. And it doesn't matter which side you put the red and the black on. You just want to make sure that you do one on each side. And kind of twist it around. Sometimes it doesn't like to stay, but the key point of making our experiment work today is to make sure that those wires stay connected. So we'll get those in there, and if we have to, we can take a piece of tape and hold the wires in place. And I think I might do that just so they stay like they're supposed to. So let's take a little piece of our tape. Tape that down. All right. And then we're going to take and we're going to attach our battery pack with the motor attached to it onto the top of our base of our Wigglebot here. So we'll take our battery pack and take a piece of tape, and if it helps to kind of mold it in there before you stick it on top. And you might need a longer piece of tape than I tore there. So just maybe like this long. We just want to make sure it's secured really well to the top. And you want to make sure to push that down into the inside of the battery holder so that you can get your batteries in there. Like that. And then you can tape your motor down this way, or if you decide you want to tape it down this way, you can do that. And I think I'm going to try mine sideways. So we'll take another piece of tape and we'll make sure when we tape it down that we're not putting the tape over the pivot. The pivot's not the right word, but the post. We don't want to have the tape interfere with that. So we'll just tape it down so it stays in place. And then we're going to put our batteries in. And you'll just go ahead and put your batteries in. And make sure to put them in the right way. And this is an on-off switch for your battery pack. So before we go any further, we want to test it and make sure our motor's going to run. Make sure we've got our batteries in right. And if you move this lever, you should hear the motor running. So that's a good thing. So one thing I do want you to use caution with on this is when this is running, these silver ends on this battery pack do get a little warm. So just use caution with that. So now that we've done that, we're going to take some of our paper. I taped a couple of pieces of paper together. And we're going to attach a clothespin because, as you remember, when I turned this on, my motor moved, but the Wigglebot didn't move itself. The battery was, or excuse me, the motor was working. So we're gonna clip the clothespin to the end. Oh, and my wires are sticking out a little bit too much. It's gonna interfere. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but it's kind of sitting right on my wires. So I'm gonna tape my wires down just a little bit so that they don't interfere with the clothespin turning around on the post of the motor. So we'll just kind of tape those down so they're out of the way. And then I'm gonna attach my clothespin right here on the post of my motor. I'm gonna take the ends off of my markers. I'm gonna set it down here and then I'm gonna turn my batteries back on. So here goes our experiment. Okay, so see how it's wiggling a little bit. It is working, but the way I can hear it hitting my cup, so that tells me that I should probably change the way my motor's facing on my cup. So I'm just gonna take the tape off my motor. And I did have success with that, but I think we'll do better if I turn my motor this way and tape it down. So I'll just take it like this, and if I have to, I can put another piece of tape on there. But I'm gonna do the same kind of thing. I'm gonna attach my clothespin. I'm gonna turn it back on. Let's see. It doesn't like the clothespin this way for some reason, so I've just got it too high on the post. So let's keep our wires out of the way. Turn it on. There we go. Now it's drawing on the paper. And let's give her one more try here. Let's see if it can work. There we go. Now our Wigglebot is drawing lovely pictures, and so you might have better luck clipping it into closer to the center of the clip. Part of our experiment is to take and tape the craft stick to your clothespin just in a couple of spots like this so you can still open it, and then we'll take it, put it on the motor, and we want to kind of not set it all the way down, and what that's doing is creating more weight, and that'll let us see if that affects how much our Wigglebot moves. So once we've taped the craft stick to the clothespin and we've put it on the motor, we'll turn it back on and see it appears to be even more off balance, which is creating more motion, which is allowing it to do more art And also though, it looks like it almost might be too heavy for the motor, or maybe I just need to tape my motor better. So that's just another thing you can experiment with this. And remember, part of this is we did create a circuit. We took our batteries, or excuse me, we wired our motor to the battery pack, put the batteries in, and turned it on, and that created a circuit. The clothespin on the motor is creating vibration, and the vibration is what is making the Wigglebot move around the paper. And I'm gonna just take this, see if we can take the clothespin off and see if it, see about going back and seeing how well. And my tape is sticking really well, so let's do it this way. There we go. So you could also try something lighter than a craft stick if you wanted. I don't know what that would be, but let's try it again. Let's put our clothespin back on, turn our batteries on, and there we go. So our craft stick was too heavy, really, and joining us for Wiggle and Giggle today. I hope you had fun with the project. We'd love to see any video or pictures of you doing this project, and you can share them with us at the email address coming across your screen. We look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day.